excited. I know this is becoming a more or less like a routine. And thank you so much for tuning in. Wherever you are like listening to us, podcast, YouTube channel, or you're just watching us on a TikTok, right? I have two super excited guests with us today, right from Arizona. Yes. Joe and Daniel, welcome to the Legal Connect podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you, guys. So tell us, for the audience who have no idea what Joe and Daniel are, who are they, what firm they represent, and what kind of work you guys do. So just give a brief introductions about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Joe. I'm the managing partner of the firm. I started this company in November of 2021. Before I went to law school, I had a background in banking. I worked in treasury. I worked in risk. I've done sales. And then when I went to law school, I started getting more and more involved in corporate law, investments, business transactions, and then eventually in estate planning. And then, like I said, I started the company in November of 2021 to really kind of create this holistic model to help, obviously, individuals, but also small businesses as our primary focus, right? And what brought Danny in, Danny's our specialist, handles a lot of our accounting matters, financial matters with his background. If you wanted to explain your background.
Of course. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Danny Cerrito. I'm our junior partner here. I oversee our accounting and human capital practice groups. So I really kind of get a chance to really help dive in a lot with businesses, explore our finances, what we're doing with our personnel, and really kind of help take that to the next level.
That's awesome, guys. I always get excited when you see younger managing partners and younger people generally, right? Like leading and paving way. So what makes you guys different and unique, and what led you to start a firm?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, growing up, I kind of came from a entrepreneurial family. My grandfather owned his own company. My uncle owned his own company, still does. When we got to high school, my mom started her own company. So I've always wanted to be, a business owner. What I noticed, especially in my mother's business when she started, is she had an accountant, she had a lawyer, she had an HR person, she had an IT person, because those weren't her areas of expertise. And what we can do here in Arizona, which is different than in a lot of other places, is it's this alternate business structure license is what it's called. And it's only available in Arizona right now. And I believe Utah is starting to implement it as well. What that allows us to do is, instead of having individual professionals for all of these different tasks at individual companies, we're allowed to bring it all under one roof. We can consolidate, we can bring it all together and offer this holistic approach. So whatever issue these business owners might be facing, or an individual might be facing, it's all handled here under one roof.
It really allows us to, really tailor to what a small business needs, or even what a private individual needs, and help address all the professional capacities that they're struggling with at that time, and really focus on how we can help take them to that next level and get them the support they need and might even be lacking at that time.
Yeah. I think so for a lot of transactional stuff, right? People generally don't have those deep and meaningful relationships with their advisors, right? But I truly believe that anyone who needs more deeper relationship, they would connected network of advisors, because there's so much overlap, right? Your money is talking to your legal is talking to your business is talking to your human capital, and everything is kind of as I say, it's like a beautiful dish, but generally the way business world is structured, that you get an accountant's advice, you get a lawyer's advice. So let's go a little bit deeper into that, right? As a business, right, when someone comes to you, how does that makes it different, being this one-stop shop versus if they are basically getting advice from 4 different advisors, let's go a little bit deeper into that, right? What are the pros and cons, and let's shed a little bit more light around that.
I mean, there's kind of one of the most obvious ones is efficiency. You got one number to call, one person to talk to, at least initially. But the biggest benefit is what you touched on, is that we can all talk to each other. We all collaborate on different things. I can use one of our clients as an example who came to us strictly for help with bookkeeping, right? After we finally got an opportunity to look at their books, the books were a mess. They had no legal structure. HR was non-existent. They had no risk planning involved or compliance planning involved at all. With our holistic model and the fact that we have multiple professionals under one roof, I was able to do my job on the legal end. Danny over here was able to do his job with the taxes, accounting, and books. We were able to advise from a legal compliance standpoint and really offer help in every way that this particular client needed help in. And that's not something most business owners are able to do when they have a lawyer over here, an accountant at this firm, an HR person over there. This is their other consultant. Bringing it together like that and having that all-in-one collaboration between all the types of professionals that a company needs is really, I think, one of the largest benefits that our firm can offer our clients.
Yeah, it's really that collaborative nature where us as professionals, we're able to talk amongst each other and really be like, hey, we need to take a look at this file and see what services this client might need. Just kind of branching off the client you were talking about, it's wonderful that operationally they had that point where, we are getting those bigger sales, we are growing as a business, but what about all those other hats that we needed that professional support with? And by using our model and helping that business out, we were able to get them reorganized, going in the right direction where everything is accounted for and push forward where they can really focus on continuing that sale pathway and hitting those goals. So really kind of just that positive direction of hitting all of our professional check bases so those business owners can focus on the skills that they bring to the table.
I think that's excellent because generally business owners have those transactional relationships with those advisors. And I also believe that because of not sharing the information, having overlap, a lot of strategic advice which they could have gotten, they don't get, right? So from a strategic advice perspective, I think because you're looking at all the aspects of business and you're like, okay, well, this is where the opportunity is, right? And there is it's almost like how I would look at it is like almost having a board of directors who are your sounding board.
It's a great way of looking at it,
So we can provide that board of director mix up because we have all those things in one house, and normally that's not something small business owners can do. They don't, unless they start with lots of funding. A lot of these companies can't hire all these different types of advisors, and you're right. Having it all under one roof and being able to provide that for smaller companies as they start and as they begin to grow is something very beneficial.
Very beneficial because I'm segueing into the individual side, right? If you understand the business and understand the wealth side of it really well, then you can advise them around the states and wills and all this kind of stuff. But generally a state advisor, right, if they don't know really well the financial side of it, how they can advise it. I think there's a strong segue to. So from an individual perspective, right, do you guys also provide this holistic side that accounting is doing kind of, let's say, personal taxes, and then lawyers are doing bills and state or those kind of matters as well?
Yeah, so that's something I'll kind of talk a little bit about. I really feel it's something where we're able to help that individual understand their whole situation and help with that next kind of stage of life planning. Because as you know, if you make a trust, you could owe a 1041 tax filing on that trust itself. And then certain individuals, we're going into actually pushing gifts off to our heirs or kind of amongst kind of other decisions for charitable groups. And with that can create different tax strategies as well as different tax consequences. So by being able to have both of us in the same roof, we can be in that same meeting actually and kind of come up with that joint plan together for the client of what is best for their estate, what is best for their family. How can we help them hit their family goals with what we're able to offer, and it's not just the big guys you see with this, but I mean, one client I know that really stuck out to me was we were able to help them with their family farm, something that, was very important to them. And it was something we were able to set up correctly so they would have the least tax kind of issues on handing over that property, but have all the correct protections on actually transferring the asset. So it allows for kind of that next level of engagement and providing that client with the ability to, have that support and know that this is what's actually best for me as I move forward from not just the legal end, but the financial or personnel end as well,
Yeah. It's an excellent insight. So it's not just like B2B side of your firm, it's also B2C side of your firm, right? Because that totally makes sense. There's a lot of spillover there. And strategically, as a to you, not their business needs are getting met or professional needs are getting met, but their personal needs are also getting met, right? In terms of accounting and all those areas. So I think that's excellent. So explain it to me, from a jurisdictional perspective, can you only serve clients in Arizona, or can you also serve clients outside of Arizona? Just to talk about a little bit of that perspective. I mean, of course, from an accounting perspective, maybe you can, but from a legal perspective of bundling the service, right? I'm just curious that work, considering it's such a new thing, which Arizona, as you said, Utah may be doing it, but no one else is doing it currently.
Right. So from a jurisdictional perspective, we have attorneys, I'm barred here in Arizona. We have attorneys barred in Utah, California, DC. So when it comes to litigation matters, we can handle cases like that in those jurisdictions because we do have attorneys that are barred there. When it comes to transactional law, especially with things like estate planning, even that line is a little gray sometimes.
Yes.
I can't necessarily litigate in New York, but writing someone's will or their trust in New York is something that I've done before, especially for clients that I have that are in Arizona and have properties in multiple states, right? Yeah. That cross-border interaction in the transactional world is a little bit more acceptable than obviously litigating in a state that you're not barred in. We also have clients that work with us out of country as well on transactional matters, estate planning, and as you said, taxes and accounting. There's really no jurisdictional stop for Danny over here.
Yeah, for accounting and HR, it's a world of services, so to speak. It's really nice because from a globalized perspective, we get to work with clients a little bit from all over and help them address their needs here in the States. And it's more about for us, how can we help them for where they're at, and especially with the amount of snowbirds we see here as well, it's nice to be able that they can bring back our insights and our guidance back to their home state. I believe it was Utah, and what they're doing with pushing the ABS program that Arizona started is just an absolutely wonderful thing. And it's definitely, we feel, the future of professional services. Just from the success we've had, it really helps out the smaller business and getting them the resources they need. And it's going to be interesting to see as other jurisdictions not only see kind of the outcome of ours, but what decisions they make as well in theirs.
Yeah. Personally, I think there's the no-brainer in terms of making sense for it. It depends legislation, political perspective. There's enough appetite for it to really push it forward. But I think from a logical perspective, I don't foresee that, because as a small business owner, or have been a business owner myself, I can say that dealing with multiple professionals who are working in their own silos, right, have no idea, and they cannot provide me strategic insight versus someone working with someone like your firm, right, where you have this strategic insight, about that person or the business. That segues me to one more question. So in terms of businesses, right, SMB or the startups, right? Of course, we are not talking about a mid-sector. Mid-sector is at the point where they can hire those in-house people. But the businesses anyone even under, I think, even under $15-20 million, you don't find an in-house counsel there, right? Generally, they do lean upon an outside company. So the question is that, do you guys have packages, in terms of your product service, right? Accounting, you plug in HR and you plug in legal, or is it more based on a business? More custom quotes and stuff like that.
So it's a very client dependent question, depending on what the client we're working with. We do have some of our clients on packages like that, where we do combine different functions. One of the things that we have to be careful of, though, is with the rules of professional conduct for attorneys is non-attorneys cannot share in attorney fees, right? Legal fees have to be separated. So we do offer packages in terms of accounting and bookkeeping, HR, things like that. But just because of the rules of professional conduct, We do try to keep things separated. Even if we offer maybe a legal package over here and a non-legal package, we do have to keep those separate. But the fact that they are still under one roof still offers the same types of benefits, even if they're separated from a financial perspective.
Yeah, and we give our contracts for our packages. We break out to like these are your limits kind of per practice area and group. But even with larger mid-tier businesses, we've still kind of seen mid-tiers take advantage of our consulting services as well. And this includes clients that have grown from that startup to more that mid-growth stage as well and have had that success. It's if a relationship is working and things are going right, a lot of folks don't necessarily want to change it, and it's kind of also working on that of when do we do add our in-house people that they can work with us as like an auditor or an outside consultant, and it's really kind of really nice for us that we do see that wide range of services and we can tailor our approach to that kind of custom level of what is best for this individual client, their company and their family,
Okay. Yeah, that's an excellent point. So from a service point of view, you guys definitely are uniquely positioned, absolutely, in having that holistic model. From a perspective of market comparison in terms of pricing, how would you rate yourself, right? Again, if we talk about price has a direct correlation with the quality and the quality of service, right? So how have you positioned yourself in the market so the people who are listening to that, they at least get some sort of a perspective that where you guys are positioned?
Right. I wouldn't say that price directly correlates to the quality of the product, right? I see our model very similar to actually some of these larger companies like Deloitte and EY. What you're seeing with those larger companies right now is they're going from the big four accounting firms to actually having very, very large legal departments in them as well, and consulting departments.
Yes.
So we have a very similar model, just much, much smaller, right? Because we don't have 500 people under one roof, right? And because we have a much smaller operation, not only will our clients be able to get much more personalized attention, but we can offer better prices than companies like PwC or EY offer.
And with our package level as well, it allows us to really build based upon the services the client needs at their level. A brand new business that's just getting started off, we won't charge anywhere near the same as like a mid-tier business that does need that multiple hours of support. It's not about nickel and diming your client or trying to have the biggest ROI in your sales. For us, it's about finding the clients that need our help and getting them the services they need so they can be successful. Because that's what builds the long-term relationships for us and keeps them coming back to us and expanding their services with us,
I think the biggest goal that we have with our clients is to be a partner, right? We want to help them grow because whether they come to us and they've never run a business, they've got no money, they just need to form a quick LLC. If we start with that person and we provide the services that they need and grow them and help them grow into something larger, something that they can be proud of, something that they can maybe pass down to their kids, that partnership is something that we offer because of our size that the larger companies necessarily don't, obviously, along with the better pricing model.
Pricing model, yeah. And of course, Joe and Danny, I think, if someone, let's say, even someone is selling their $5 million, $10 million business, in a way, it doesn't make sense to go to Big Four, and way better to get your deal done through a smaller firm, because unless you're like a $500 million or $1 billion or $5 billion company, where a smaller firm cannot handle you, right? And you need that national firm or international firm to, let's say, to look at that. But I'm a strong believer that SMB sector, even from M&A perspective, your model makes much more sense because you have this different consulting side already plugged in for that.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the way you're looking at it, Ali. It's really kind of hitting it on that small and medium business side and making those resources that were available to those larger organizations finally available to the small player so that they can have their own successes in the market.
Yeah. I know. I mean, we have we meet over as in we have a group of entrepreneurs and it's kind of a consulting or a coaching side of it, right? But interestingly, a lot of the talk a lot is about numbers and finance and stuff, right? So generally in that group, we always talk about numbers and finance, but their accountants are not there, right? The bookkeepers are not there. So that information is kind of like living in a silo there. And I think that that makes an excellent. So guys, someone wants to find out about you guys, someone want to reach out about to you guys. Where do you live? Where do you stay? I would assume it's all online. You're breathing and living online. So try to make it easier for people to get hold of you and how they can find you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. All the information that you guys are going to need, and obviously have more background on us and the practice groups that we service, can be found on our website. It's just www.steadpllc.com.
SteadP LLC. I'll make sure that like the social media links and the other website links are in the show notes. So wherever you guys are watching, or listening to it, you have easy one-click contact if you want to get in touch with Joe and Danny. So Joe and Danny, what will be one parting piece of advice or word you will leave our audience with?
So the biggest word of advice I would leave for our clients, is don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help, because it's so much better to be proactive than reactive. As a small business, it's very easy to be reactive and be like, oh my goodness, we have these issues, let's solve them. But to look ahead and realize this could be a problem in the future and to get the right partners is what sets people up to have the most success. So we look forward to helping anyone that needs our help. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach us. We're very delighted to talk to, folks from a lot of different backgrounds and hear more about their individual story and how we can help their business or family.
Couldn't say it better myself.
That's why you guys are running in the same firm, right? Don't be reactive, guys. Be proactive, right? Even as a business, but as an individual, if you want to be strategic, if you want to make sure that you're looked after, and I think the best thing I got out of today's conversation is that generally business owners, we need strategic advice. Either we go and hire a consultant outside, right? Or generally, those consultants are not cheap, or either we basically don't get this strategic advice because our advisors are working in their own silos, right? They're amazing lawyers, they're amazing accountants, they're amazing HR people, they're amazing marketing people, they're amazing IT people, but they don't work as a team. And I think that's what we got out of a conversation. And amazing to learn that Arizona is leading and innovating in this way. And I think for the SMB sector, they're making it easy to do business, because that's one of the ways that they're making it easy to do business. Hopefully all that adopted, and hopefully Canada catches up the fever and they also make it part of the legislation, because the model itself is amazing. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you joining us today. Have a good day.
Thanks, Lee. You have a good one.